Hey guys, thank you for tuning in, and guess who's back? It's time for Coffee Chat with Mona. And if you've been following us, you see I've been interviewing a lot of different people. We're getting amazing stories, amazing success stories. We've interviewed our board of director, one of our board of directors and staff. But today we're doing something a little different. We're actually going to be talking to another nonprofit agency that we've partnered with, and that is the Bravestone Project. And so today I have Denise Rodriguez with me, and I'm excited that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
So a little bit about, I want to just kind of get into it.
Yep.
Bravestone Project. What started that?
So we've been in existence 5 years now. And so for me, it was more, I was doing the work in the community. I was seeing all of everything from helping people with services of immigrant, migration, sex assault, domestic violence, right? All those things. Human trafficking is really near to my heart because I'm from South Texas. And so you see that in your face all the time, right? So I had already began to look at the impact of human trafficking in Mesa County. And I was hearing a lot of chatter, but it's not the same, it doesn't look the same, it's very different. So Bravestone was birthed by 5 women and co-founded it. At that time, what I was seeing was a lot of disparities in the community, gaps, right? With services. And gaps, honestly, that it goes everything from mental health, right? Behavioral health, recovery, case management, housing, all of it. And we still see that. But it was more so then. I think we had just gotten out of COVID or in between COVID. And so it's huge. And so, yeah, it was started by 5 women, and we now still have 3, which is great. 2 have moved on, which is good for them. That's what they chose, because the legacy's still here and it still will continue with it.
I want to go back to when you talked about human trafficking, because at that time when Bravestone was birthed, there wasn't a lot of awareness in our community about it, or they'd heard about it, but it wasn't a reality because it was like not in our community.
Right.
That can't be happening in Grand Junction.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so how was that addressed?
Very direct, I think. And what I mean by that is, everyone from law enforcement to social work to even education, CMU, it was not something that was, and I wouldn't say that it wasn't educated on or those type of things, because it was, but at that time, we were being told, no, that's not happening here. And so the way it was addressed is having to come to different tables of meeting with leadership, right? Everyone from county commissioners to law enforcement agencies to education agencies to even nonprofits, right? And so it was addressed, I would say, kind of just like sounding a horn of sorts, and making sure that it's constantly being sounded, constantly being said, no, look at this, look at that. There was cases at that time. There was a huge case up in Colorado Springs where the boyfriend of the mom was trafficking her daughter plus a friend, and he was bringing them all over Colorado. And so cases were happening. They were just not happening the way people think it happens, which is they usually, when you say human trafficking, they expect either, they're being put in a semi-truck and moved to locations, or they're being put in a van and they're being trafficked that way.
It's very taboo, right?
Yes.
It's the same thing with homelessness.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Absolutely.
So you have this concept, or you've watched, because I know for me, and in case you didn't know, I am a part of that team of Bravestone.
Yes. And you are a co-founder and board president.
Yeah, but the thing is, for me, when we started it,
Mhm.
and you guys had approached me, and I'm like, yeah, I want to get in on this.
Right.
And that's because my nature,
Mhm.
fight for the underdog.
Right. Mhm.
But in my mind, I'm thinking the movie Taken.
Right. Yeah.
You
lot
know?
of people do. Yes.
And so, and then I learned,
Mhm.
and as I'm educated and seeing
Right.
young women
Mhm.
or men
Right.
come into the Joseph Center,
Mhm.
who have been trafficked,
Right.
who want to be out of it, and then we'll get into that in a minute, because we know, because of some legislation, our
Right.
hands are tied
Right.
to some degree, right?
Right.
And some laws have to be changed.
Mhm.
But when you see the reality of it,
Right.
and you're on the front line,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you're hands on
Mhm.
with these individuals
Yep.
who have been trafficked, coming out of traffic.
Yeah.
And I know for Bravestone, the big picture was, we got to educate everybody.
At that time, yes.
At that time.
Yep. And it's
But as the need presents itself
Mhm.
more and more,
yeah.
we just adjusted to.
And it's an evolutionary thing, right?
Yes.
Like it evolves all the time. I want to kind of touch back on what it looked kind of to parallel some of this. So I will remember, I will never forget this case. It was a male, and he had called, and he was actually brought in through one of the farms here locally. And I'm not going to mention names. I'm just going to keep it very. And so he had called. He had been assaulted, and the shame he felt. So when you talk about trafficking, right? It's all encompassing, and it doesn't discriminate.
Right.
And so for him, it was that one moment. But as I heard more of the story, is like, no, you were trafficked, and you were, but they don't see it that way. Even the survivors don't see it that way, right? They have to go through this process of really understanding what happened to them, and then understanding how the who, what, and the where, and the why, and then how do they move forward. And so he felt so much shame that he didn't want to press charges. He didn't want to say like all the details. He didn't want to say exactly what happened to him. He knew he was drugged. He knew he was, all these things. And he goes, I just, and this is how he said it, I just want to go home. I want to go back to my home, which is Mexico, he said, and I want to go back. Like, what am I supposed to tell my girlfriend at this time? And so it's
almost the same mentality that an abused
absolutely
wife or an abused child.
Absolutely. Because it's all about power and control.
Yeah.
And so, and even in, like, for example, there was labor trafficking with this case that I'm mentioning, but there was also some sex, right? Some sex trafficking. And so, even though he couldn't put that together, and so that's, I think, it doesn't discriminate, and that's what I want everyone to know. This year, the conference, because we have a conference, right? We focused, my main focus, and our main focus as a team, was to elevate the voice that it does happen to boys, and it does happen to men.
Yes.
And the reason for that is because in the U.S., we have, I think, 1 or 2 homes for men. Homes that will shelter them, that will help them through their healing process and help them receive services, those type of things. Imagine that out of the whole United States, right? And so when you say, when we're talking about disparities and gaps and all those things, it's human trafficking is one of the biggest ones. And why wouldn't it be? We're a commodity. Human beings are commodities,
sure.
Right? And so...
Well, that's why they say a lot of times drug dealers have both going on. They can run out of drugs, but they will never run out of...
Correct.
Yep. The human beings that can do other favors that make more money.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's really sad. Listening to the statistics recently, listening to the cases, listening to the exploitation of children, and when you talk about being in the front lines, yes, I get to walk alongside of them. I get to hear the story. I get to hear, and unfortunately, a lot of times is their story, and it's repeated a lot, right? Because they have to go through that healing process. and they're willing to say it so they can heal properly with who they feel safe with.
Right.
And so, yes, a lot of that I get to hear, and I get to.
But you're bringing that safety.
Yes, absolutely. That's our whole Bravestone. That's our whole basis of why we do what we do, is to allow them not only to say, to hear their own voice, to hear their own story, but to also know that their voice matters, to feel safe enough where they can go through the details, cry it out, say, what's the next step? What does that look like? And sometimes we get some that don't want and are not ready for that.
Right.
And we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with, okay, that's fine. Let me connect you to someone else, and in hopes that, and again, it goes back to the fact that they have to realize what that looks like for themselves.
Absolutely. I remember one time another agency called me, and the woman ran into this agency. She just needed help. She didn't know. And she was admitting to them, I'm being trafficked. I want out.
Right.
And she was broke down, hysterical in this lady's office, and they called me. And I said, I'm on my way. And and she was a wreck. She was scared. I think she was coming down even. There was so much involved.
Right.
And I think most people don't understand that is the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yep.
But we needed to hear, I want out.
Right. Well, and to get them, and here's the hardest thing, when we talk about domestic violence, they say, oh, it takes her 7 times, or him, right? 7 times to leave. That's the stats, right? It takes 7 times for them to leave.
Before they break that cycle.
Right?
Yeah.
And you look at human behavior, and it takes us about 32 days, right, of doing the same behavior, different behavior, to be able to break that, right? Even let's say,
and it only takes 3 days to create a habit.
Exactly.
Right.
So, and you're talking about human trafficking. The reason these individuals, and I will never forget, I had a survivor tell me this. She goes, you know who they get, right, and why they get them. And I just let her tell me. And I go, no, why don't you tell me more? And she said, because they will get people on who are addicted, who have mental health issues, who are not as smart as them. She said, because what they do is that they keep them dumb. They keep them, and how do they do that? With drugs, right? How else can you make a person lose themselves so much that they don't know what's happening to their body?
Sure.
And so when she told me that, I was like, oh my God, how did I not piece that together?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. But look at when we talk about children, how do they use our children?
But that's an age-old strategy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because that's what occult leaders do.
That's
how they build their cult. They prey on that population.
Yep. Yes.
So many different, lawless organization type groups. That's the group. And so, which brings a whole nother awareness, right? And this is why it's so important that people get treated for their mental health, that they get that support, that they get off of drugs and all this stuff, so they're not taken advantage of and ending up in these situations, right? And something else you said, we had talked about legislation.
Yes.
What is that looking like now for human trafficking and sex trafficking?
Well, our current administration, right, has been pretty, direct when it comes to that. From my understanding, last year they passed a federal funding to help. They passed it last year, but just this year it's coming to fruition to help agencies who are doing this work. So trafficking, sexual exploitation, all these things, right? Victim services, those type of things. To help them to fund those agencies to help the people, right? So our current administration, even when their first term was in place, was very direct with trafficking. They said, we're gonna help, this is what we're gonna do, and they did. They passed a lot of money. It was It was a lot. And this time around, they haven't been as, I would say, I think from federal to state is two separate things,
Sure.
right? I think there was a bill that was trying to pass Colorado to bring prostitution to be legal. And that in itself.
And that's the tricky part, right?
Yeah.
Because someone can actually be trafficked
Mhm.
and start being trafficked at a young
Mhm.
12, 13.
Oh yeah.
And they've been doing this for years.
Yep.
And they cross over, now they're 18.
Right.
And it's not looked at as being trafficked, although they are.
Yep.
Now you're looked at for
Mhm.
just prostitution.
Right.
And so that's where those wires get crossed in the legislation,
Right.
because it's, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
This one, I remember getting a phone call
Mhm.
from an agency, and they said, this was like 7:00 at night.
Mhm.
I'm home.
Mhm.
And they said, we need your help. I
Right.
said, okay. And because that's not uncommon, right?
Right.
But this particular case was. And they said, no, there was an incident. This woman's being trafficked.
Mhm.
She had to be taken to the hospital. She was being used as a mule.
Mhm.
And they said, we don't know what to do with her.
Right.
That was my first thought. You
Uh-huh.
know, what do I do?
Right.
But come to find out,
Mhm.
it was a federal case.
Right.
And so we had to put her somewhere safe,
Yeah.
put police protection around her the
Mhm.
entire night,
Mhm.
escort her to the train station
Mhm.
so that she could get to Denver,
Right.
where the feds were waiting on her. Come to find out, the trafficker,
Mhm.
I believe, was her stepdad,
Mhm.
and he had been trafficking her
Mhm.
for like 15 years
Yeah.
and using her as a drug mule
Mhm.
and trafficking her all this time.
Right. And
Now, why it was a federal case, I don't know.
so, going back to legislation, and this ties into it, it is because of how it's written, right? They have to check mark every single thing. Exploitation. Are they being, is it coercion?
Yeah.
They have to check mark all these things. And sometimes a drug trafficking label, it has more, it's heavier weight than, let's say, a exploitation or those type of things, right? And so
Or even at that point, they're just looking at it as prostitution.
absolutely.
And
So
now they're
then
going to
they will-
focus in on the drugs.
Yep. So
Yeah.
and here's the thing, all of our systems that we have in play, right? So we talk about that case, federal, state, and then local. All of those systems have to work together when we talk about judicial system, law enforcement, all that stuff, right? Have to work together to make a case strong enough to be able to, whoever this trafficker or whatever, to be able to put them and take them out the streets, right? That's the whole purpose, is stop this issue. And they have to be able not only to prove without a shadow of a doubt that that's happening and that there is victims and all of these things. And so I think a lot of it, for individuals like me and individuals like the survivors that I serve, it's really hard to look at the judicial system and say, oh, they are truly trying to help me. Because it's really hard to understand it, because there's so many things that need to be, how would I say this, that need to be applied to make a case.
Mhm.
And so for that case, it's the same thing. Or
So,
was the same
with that
thing.
said,
Uh-huh.
do you think there's hope for changing that area?
So when we talk about systems, right? Systems are made up of people, individuals.
It's like I always say, if you get the right people,
Right. Yes.
you know,
and the
at
right.
the table,
Yep.
things can change.
Absolutely.
And miracles happen, right?
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
I'm going to segue a little bit, because I know that because of this population of
Mhm.
individuals, it has really, Joseph Center
Mhm.
and the Bravestone Project have actually had to work together.
Yep.
We've had to
Oh yeah, we've had to be innovative when it comes to serving.
extremely
Yes.
innovative.
Yes, absolutely. And
Um,
as Bravestone, we're blessed to have Joseph Center to be able to help us through that, right?
Right.
So yeah, yes, we have been.
And I think it's cool. And there's some things happening that,
Yeah.
you know, stay tuned. The work that you're doing, the work that Bravestone Project is doing and has started is highly commendable, because I've seen you hands-on.
Yeah.
And our intake process is Joseph-centered. The referral comes in, we bring the guest in, we do an intake, maybe 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, depending on how emotional they are or whatever. But when you get someone for Bravestone, that's a 4 to 5 hour intake process.
Right.
Why is it so long?
So it's because I sit there and so when you talk about an individual in that situation, they often than not, again, going back to how they have to see themselves, right? Some are ready, some are not. Some are in the midst of that little turning point. They just need a little, right? And in order for this intake process to be as, because, you know, we talk about making sure that we don't re-traumatize, right? That we are actually just serving and helping and understanding and letting them speak their voice, right? And so it takes me longer, and oftentimes I will stop and I will say, you know what, we can continue this another time. Let's get your immediate needs, right? Which is, are you housed? Are you fed? Do you need medical assistance? Do you need mental health assistance? And so if any of those things are not being met, I focus on that first.
Sure.
So it takes me longer to do the process.
Well, I know in some cases you've said, hey, you know, can we get them something to eat?
Yeah.
And you take a break. And I remember one particular survivor, I don't know how long it'd been since she'd eaten, and she wolfed down like 3 plates.
Yeah.
You know, we're running back to the kitchen. We need more, you know? But just that nourishment. And then after that, it was like, okay, I'm ready to talk, because prior to that, she wasn't ready to talk.
No.
She wasn't ready to talk. She wasn't ready. I know that one particular case for me, we knew the individual was being trafficked, but she never would say.
Right.
And so we do have secret codes throughout the building to let them know this is a safe place.
Right.
And so that only they would understand. Right.
Right.
And I love that, you know, because, and then that's when I call you and say, we need you,
right?
You know, and then you come in and you do your thing. There's so much to human trafficking and sex trafficking, but bringing that awareness to our community,
right?
Because we know there's tons of other agencies who are doing phenomenal work throughout the United States. But our focus is right here. Right? And we're not doing the NIMBY thing.
No.
We're literally bringing awareness to this. And I'm so excited now because it sounds like our law enforcement is like,
oh yeah,
they're on board.
Right. And now there is state legislation that was passed that now law enforcement has to have training for trafficking, right? For human trafficking. And so it's been amazing to see the trajectory of what the changes have been, and everybody, not just, you know, what we do. And I think that, how do I say this? The more and more we can bring and work together and collaborate and bring the awareness to community itself, I think the more then we make people accountable. And so, it's been
you got like I have a ton of questions in my head at this moment, right? And it's not like we don't ever talk or anything like that, because we work a lot together.
Oh yeah, we talk daily.
But is there statistically that you can think of, and you may not have this number in your head, because we don't rehearse this and she has no idea what I'm going to ask her,
Uh-huh.
My mind, and we say, okay, someone's being sex trafficked.
Mm-hmm.
We immediately,
Mm-hmm.
in our minds, have the population, which is some young teenage girls, some young woman. What in Mesa County do you know of? Has there been, I guess my question is, what are the stats on younger people?
Oh my gosh. So, for Mesa County themselves, I'd have to go and look through our Colorado state.
Well, do you know if there's more than adults?
No.
Okay.
However, we recently had a collaborator, and they did a say-so assembly in Mesa County, which that in itself was amazing.
I heard about that, and the
And
numbers were...
Well, and so, here's, I want to go back to the trajectory of how human trafficking in Mesa County. Here's the thing, we serve the West Slope,
Right.
not just Mesa County, right?
Right.
We've gotten calls from Rio Blanco, like we've gotten
Sure.
calls. And so, but going back to the Say Something Assembly, Andrew Dawson leads that, who is awesome.
We love Andrew.
And it took, I'd say, a couple of years. He might tell me differently, but for him to even get into our, and to do this in our district. Through that, though, we got a lot of information from young people. And to the point where a lot of them were like, wait, it's not happening at your house? It's happening at my house? Hold on.
Seriously.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, you mean to tell me that you don't have people who come over and,
Yeah.
touch you or do things to you? Yeah. These are children. These are, middle school to high school. And the realization, the impact of them hearing the information that they brought into this to educate them and bring awareness. And honestly, the systems were not ready. But there was calls made to law enforcement, there was calls made to child protection services because of that. And so, so in our county itself, there's been a big impact. And here's the other thing. We need to continue to work together, and I'm talking about school district, I'm talking about law enforcement, I'm talking about social services, to bring this positive awareness and education into our county, because it is happening, it is here, the children are being affected, and we need to make sure that we continue to help, to help bring this conversation in as safely as we can and continue that trajectory of breaking through a lot of this. And so, so as far as stats, he has those, but it was a huge impact in our community, and there was things that came out of it. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that's kudos, Andrew.
Yeah.
And we needed that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
How much would you say, on a scale from 1 to 10, of a trafficked individual, it's generational?
Shoot. I would say I want to say 10.
Okay.
And the reason I want to say that is because I've heard stories of pimps, right? When they talk about it, and they say, "Well, I learned that from my granddaddy. I learned that from my,
Sure.
from my
And
uncle."
the reason I ask you that
Yeah.
is because I'm driving a point here.
Yeah.
That you think just because somebody is rescued,
Right.
it's over.
Right.
It's not like saving. It's not like a lifeguard going out and
Right.
saving someone from drowning. A little CPR,
Right.
you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Right. Yeah.
We've got them out of the water,
Mm-hmm.
but they come out of that water with so much attached to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we can't just rip everything off at one time.
Mm-mm.
And a lot of time it's generational.
Yep.
It's a mindset of this is who I am. They've gotten acclimated to that.
Mm-hmm.
The drugs.
Right.
They get addicted to the sex.
Yep.
They get addicted to even the thought of how am I going to get my nails done?
Oh, absolutely. Or my hair.
Or
yep.
You
or
know,
my clothes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to drive that home a little bit because there's so much more. And again, just like I say about Joseph Center, we want to deal with the whole person.
Right.
You know, and I know that Bravestone Project has had many, many, many calls.
Mm-hmm.
And that you've came to the rescue
Yes.
of many.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a working process.
Absolutely.
And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that even a taste of normality is too much. And they will go right back
Yep.
because they're going to get their nails done. They're going to get their hair done.
And people, it's hard. It's hard to help. One of the biggest things when we talk about Bravestone for me is having, for us, the individuals serving those individuals,
Mhm.
having that lived experience.
Mhm.
And the reason why that is super important is because I understand the trajectory of the healing, right? And so, and I know that it's going to be long term, and I know it's not a fast fix. I can't just say, oh, here's, I don't know, here's some money and, oh, you want to get your hair done? Let's go do that for you, right? So that they can, it's a matter of how can they be understanding of why they want that. When we talk about like their nails and that was part of their persona. That was part of their identity. That was part of what this other person made sure that they did to fill an expectation, right?
Sure.
And so when we talk about those things, it can't be like, it's kind of when we talk about mental health, right? You can't see that there's a broken arm, but there's a broken arm, right? And so it's kind of like that figuratively. Is like these individuals are broken, but because their identity was this specific thing, where my hair was done, I had makeup, my nails were done, I had
ate.
specific, right? I ate, and yeah, okay, they were using my body, but I still was in a sense, right? And
They're able to numb that out.
exactly.
And my analogy, when you were saying all of that, I thought about people who have gotten into massive car wrecks, and you will hear them testify, I had to learn how to walk
Right.
all over
again.
again. I had to learn how to feed myself
Yep.
all over again. That is the process, right?
Right.
And for these individuals, learning
Yep.
to be normal
Right.
is whatever normal. I mean, you know what I mean when I
their
say normal.
Yep.
Which
Their normal looks very different to our normal.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And so, and that's what it is that, so Bravestone is long term,
Yes.
is the after.
That's
right?
what I love about it.
Yeah.
You know, because you know me, I am a total advocate in long-term
Right.
continuum of care and extending the safety net,
Right.
if you will.
Right.
It's never going away.
Right.
We've woven one underneath you, and we're always going to be here for you.
Right. Yep.
So I appreciate that. Do me a favor.
Yep.
To look in that camera and
Yep.
tell people who are watching us two things.
Okay.
One, where they can reach out to if
Okay.
they're being trafficked or know someone who is being trafficked.
Okay.
And number two, what does Bravestone need right now? I can answer that, but I'm gonna let you go.
Lots of things. Okay, so you can reach Bravestone Project at www.bravestoneproject.org. We have a website. We also have a call line, which I'm going to apologize beforehand. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it is on our website.
We can add that to the screen, right? The phone number. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so that's how they can reach us. As far as what Bravestone Project needs is financial support. our goal is to have a safe house. And currently the care advisory part that we do and the education part that we do is something that we need funded. The other thing is that because youth are very dear and near to all of our hearts, there is a program that I want to launch in the fall, and that needs funded. And I've looked, and for those of you who are already in this with us, I've looked for grants. In fact, I just had a call yesterday about a grant for it and was told that we are not big enough. So if you want to help us and you want to join, please do so. Check out our website. We would greatly appreciate that. So
thank you
thank you
for just sitting down. And,
yeah.
We don't get to do this.
No.
And it's funny because we get to do it on camera.
Yeah.
And so thank you for real.
Absolutely.
Thank you once again for joining us on Coffee Chat with Mona. And I know this was a little different subject, but it needs to be out there. And we are very proud of the work of the Bravestone Project here in Grand Junction, Colorado. And again, you can always reach out to us, even here at the Joseph Center. If you feel led and you feel like I want to be a part of this and make a difference to those who are suffering from human trafficking, sex trafficking in our community, please make a donation. That money is being very well spent, I promise you. Also, if it's on your heart to get involved with the Bravestone Project, we ask you to reach out because again, we can always use more hands in this project. I mean, like seriously, right?
Yeah.
And again, if you want to donate to the Joseph Center, josephcentergj.com. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Go to our YouTube channel so that you can follow more stories and we can do follow-up stories, and we don't want you to miss any of that. And if you have questions about the sex trafficking, human trafficking in Mesa County, Grand Junction, Fruita, Orchard Mesa, who am I leaving out? Fruitville, Clifton. If you have questions, please put them in the comments so we can get back to you. We would love to have you back so we can address your questions. And once again, thank you for tuning in to Coffee Chat with Mona.